Hey everybody, welcome to Hyderabad Power Platform User Group. Thank you so much for joining us today here. We have two cool sessions as part of our agenda. Today we have with us Kuldeep Gupta. He's a Microsoft MVP and MCT for business applications. Other than that, he's a project operations specialist. So if you have any questions or anything, you can reach out to him. Today he's going to give us overview of how you can deep dive into project operations and how it can be used. Honestly, this is something which is new for me also, so I'm very excited for your session, Kuldeep. Then the second session we have is going to be by Dharni. And then he's going to talk about ALM accelerators for Power Platform. Dharni is also a Microsoft MVP and MCT for business applications. So today we have Kuldeep and Dharni with us to help you resolve any of your queries or understand how you can set up project operations and ALM. So, hey Kuldeep, thank you so much for coming here with us today and taking some time from your busy schedule.
Hi Ritika, thanks first of all actually for inviting me. These community sessions are my favorite, and I love speaking on such
Mm.
sessions, and it is my pleasure. So maybe I hope this session gives people some insight as to what project operations is. I've done these sessions before, but I'm doing this a long time after when project operations has got a lot of new features in it. So maybe it'll be really exciting for people also to see what is with project operations now. So if
Mm-hmm.
you allow me, can I start my screen sharing and then go for it?
Yep, sure. Please go ahead.
Super. Then let me share my screen.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully you can see
Ye-
my screen now.
Yes, Kuldeep, we can see your screen. Please go ahead.
Good. So you all know the topic that I'm going to be taking today. Ritika already introduced you to the topic, but yeah, it's deep diving into project operations. Um, little bit about me, as Ritika has already introduced you to me, but yeah, I'm based out of Mumbai. I'm CEO ProMX India since 2021 June. I'm also MVP Business Applications. Yeah, I don't like calling myself expert, but yeah, I have a good amount of knowledge in Dynamics 365 project operations. So in case you have anything, you can always reach out to me and I'll see if I can help you the best. Um, I have a PSA course when PSA started in like 5 6 years back. Since then, it was a lot of struggle for people to understand what Dynamics 365 PSA is. And then, sorry to say, but Microsoft documentation was there, but limited. The process guide was not enough to understand how to go through the process. It's not an easy product to go through from end to end. So as in I figured out the way, I actually wrote an ebook, which was downloaded by more than 3,000 people, and the course is also created by me, which is an hours course where people can come and take a free course for the same, so you understand right from the configuration to all the modules and how you can use it. So just a hand towards the community to get into deep dive of project operations. Yeah, I have also my blog site d365feeds.com. You can majority of my blogs run through on project operations and PSA. So all your major glitches are already mentioned in the blogs that I have written on project operations. So you can go through those blogs and see if they help you. Yeah, a little bit. This is all a little bit about me, and then maybe let's directly jump into the agenda. So I will take up the following modules that I mentioned in the project operations. The project operations actually consists of the sales module, the project management module, then the resource management, time and expense entry, and then it comes to invoicing. So don't worry, guys. I'm gonna be taking a very deep dive demo on a live system to show you how these things work in project operations. So yeah, why and what is project operations again? Firstly, I want to make you aware of where things changed from PSA to project operations and how did it get it named project operations. So by birth, it was called as project service automation. Well, initially it was a part of customer engagement module. There was some disadvantages, or you can say gaps in the product, where you can see the WBSing or WBS structure that we create in the project operations were not that um, effective or exciting. It has some glitches in it. The invoicing was not that complete, I would say. So it was not taking care of the entire global invoicing, taxations, and all those kind of stuff. Then what happened is Microsoft decided to pick up the project part of the customer engagement module, like the sales, the project management, resource management, time and expense entry part from the customer engagement part. This was already a part of PSA and also a part of customer engagement module before, and then pick up the invoicing module from finance and operations. So finance and operations, the FNO piece already had a very convincing invoicing module in itself. So then they clubbed together the project and operations module and started calling it project operations. That gave it a name of project and operations together. Still, CE and FNO are clubbed together. So you might come up with a question as to how is it sold now? So do you have to buy a CE and FNO license together and stuff like that? No, but it is sold as a separate SKU called as project operations, where you get the entire project operations suite downloaded that you can use for yourselves. Um, I would like to mention that if you have any queries, you can note down and put it in the chat. Maybe I can take it up together in the end of the session. Well, moving ahead, again, another slide on what project operation is and how the cycle runs actually. So a little bit small, but I will take you through with my explanation. So if you see the point one here, imagine a sales cycle that happens is when a lead comes in. So the sales takes care of actually winning the leads and qualifying the leads to the next level so that they convert into an opportunity. This is normally the scenario: you attend an event, you find some interesting leads that you can get, and then you load them in the system. So project operations start exactly from that point when you start creating leads in your system, and then they move towards the opportunity. And then when you create an opportunity, you move a little bit ahead if there is an interest in the opportunity to create a quotation. So the quote is created, the budget is finalized, and then you move ahead to make an estimate, an expense and expenditures that are going to be going there, which is again a part of preparing the quotation. Then the customer either accepts or rejects the quote. Maybe we take a positive scenario that the customer accepts the quotation, and then the in the best case, when the quote is signed by the customer, it converts into project contract. So till then, it's a part of the sales cycle that happens in the project operations. Post that, what happens is when the sales is complete, the project management team and the resource management team is all included in the cycle. So the resource management, or you can call staffing of the project, is taken care of, and the project management team is also involved there, where they kind of maintain their project plan as to how the planning would be done. You can say a detailed project plan is prepared, the resources allocated to the tasks and stuff like that. And then maybe you need to also schedule them in your schedule board. So it's a very beautiful interactive view that project operations has given in terms of actually um, allowing you or the resource management or the project management team to schedule their resources onto the tasks that these guys are working on the projects. So you get a very high level view of who's going to be working on which day and what project and stuff like that. Also, not just that, who is overloaded and who's understaffed and stuff like that. Moving then, when the project is executed, the main part is when you make a revenue out of the project, and then the revenue is always based on the time that you put in the system. So time entry and expense entry for the expenses that you make, it depends on the type of contract that you've signed. If the expenses are covered by the client, you need to also make the expense entry in the system. So the time and the expense entries are done in the system, which is also tracked, approved, and then all those times and expenses that are converted into actuals are actually loaded in a nice data sheet and then passed to the customer that, hey, we've worked for this many number of hours, please we have raised an invoice for this and please pay. So end ends with an invoicing cycle. So this is an entire piece of cycle that runs right from lead to project management to uh, resourcing, time and expense entry until invoicing. We will see the entire cycles demo shortly. So you can see a last piece here is business intelligence. So we can club all of this on top of project operations with nice Power BI reports, which are very beautifully designed. Of course, they don't come out of the box. Yeah, we have content packs which are readily available, but yeah, you can design as per your needs a lot of good Power BI reports that helps management take some nice, beautiful decisions. Well, I think it's now time to get into the demo when you have a beautiful understanding of what project operations theoretically does. So let me directly get you guys into the demo. And okay, so well, I have also put down in my slides further how you can sign up for a trial environment. I have created a trial for you guys to give a demo today. But when you sign up a trial, you need to do some configurations, and to learn those configurations, I will not spend time now explaining you all the configurations. I assume the configurations are done in the system. You can download or you can run through my course, take my course up. It'll explain you how the configurations are done. It's another one chapter inside. And when everything is set up, when you log into the system, you see this icon called as project operations app. You can click on that app and you are into a beautiful view of project operations app, and you can see a lot of modules inside. There are project sales, resources, and stuff like that. Maybe we are interested in starting from the sales cycle, so maybe we go directly there, and then you can see in the sales cycle on the left hand side you have leads, opportunities, quotes, and contracts. So maybe we can start from lead as well, but I want to avoid leads from here at this point of time, and we directly start from opportunities. So I can create a new opportunity for you guys. Let's click on new, and we can see Rene needs CRM implementation. So this can be an opportunity directly that hit you. You can select a contact, let's say Elva Parkins. Accounts can be Elva Constructions. Contracting unit. This is an important piece to understand what is a contracting unit here. The contracting unit is basically not exactly the contracting unit that we have here in your Dynamics. It's a contracting unit which says the geographical locations that the company is spread across, means the entities, where all my entities are. So I might have an entity in India, US, UK, Germany, where also you can create as many number of entities. And now I can say this opportunity is coming to us at from ProMX India. Well, there are other fields we can always go and deep dive. For I will just pick up the fields that are important for us to finish off with the demo. Yeah, so the currency is something that I will pick up the local currency, Indian rupees, and then the sales price list. So there is a feature inside. I think it's a very generic feature, sales price list. So you create a sales price list for yourself, which is a CE feature already brought in, and you can tag with an opportunity that is like you have a default sales price list which you can attach here, and then you can always put down the budgets and all those kind of stuff here. Let's say I put a budget of, let's say, 500,000 USDs or Indian rupees, sorry. Well, I think at this point of time I can save this opportunity. Yeah. So as soon as it gets saved, there are a lot of other fields that you can see is highlighted. You can always see who's a stakeholder. Of course, the contact is added as a stakeholder, but you can keep on adding many stakeholders here. You can add the other sales team member who are working on this opportunity here, and your direct competitors if in case you have. You have a beautiful timeline view in the center that you can always use for this opportunity as to track all sorts of updates that has happened in the opportunity during the course. It is still not one or even post one what has happened. Now you can see a tab here called as opportunity lines. If you click here, if you know at this point of time what the opportunity is demanding or the client is demanding for this opportunity, you can definitely put down here. But I would say it is too much of an overdue for the opportunity. But I think I have a basic information what the opportunity needs here, and then I would directly create a quote out of it. So maybe I would click here and add new quotation. So now understand, guys, we were in opportunity. Now we're directly going and creating a quote out of it. Well, if you want an opportunity directly, also the quote is created, but yeah, I've manually decided to create a quote now here. So if you see, if you create a quote from the opportunity, it picks up all the details from opportunity, and you have all sorts of details required that are populated here. It is also attached the opportunity from where it came. You can always put in the line of quote expiry. Let's say my quote is valid until 24th of September and stuff like that. You can put that down here. No validations on this as of now, but you can always certainly put a kind of workflow or a cloud flow depending on what your requirements are on the expiry date. So the field is available. Not to exceed limit. Maybe when you put prepare a quotation, you can always set a not to exceed limit here. It doesn't ties anything, but just gives a reporting analytic feature to tell you that you have exceeded the quote limit or stuff like that. Requested delivery date is when the project is going to be ending. So let's say it's something which is a long lasting project. I'll put it, let's say, till December 30th. So yeah, and again, yeah, I think this is okay. So now the header of the quotation is ready. Now let's get into the preparation of the quotation lines. And the sales team guy has done enough information. Did a lot of calls between the between Elva and other team members from, let's say, our company ProMX, and then they come back and say, all right, we have a good amount of information based on which we can prepare the quotation. So now for preparing the details of the quotation, you enter here in the quote lines and say, all right, the project based lines that we are going to be doing now are following. So before we actually get into the project based lines, I would also say the customer might also want to buy some licenses, which you can put in the product based lines. So let's first focus on the project based lines as to how this is done. So now I will create and click on add new quote line for which we are creating the quotation. We can say Rene's CRM implementation is the quote. Now, interesting piece to understand: billing method TNM and FP, which is generic information, but I think I will just take 1 minute to explain time and material. The difference between TNM and FP: time and material is something which is based on the number of hours that you log in. On the basis of that, the invoices are created, and the major difference is that you get paid basis on your schedule that you're fixed, that every bi-weekly, monthly, 2 months, you will raise an invoice to the customer based on the number of hours that you've logged. And the fixed price is somewhere that you end up saying, okay, my project would be a 500,000 USDs, and then or INR, and then I will invoice you in 4 equal installments or based on your milestones. So those milestones are set in the system. That is called as fixed price product. So let's say we go in the time and material mode at this point of time. Um, well, here when you said like time and material, there are certain fields at this point of time to understand. Of course, when you're doing time and material, you would like to include the time that you're doing and include the expenses because they are going to be on actuals that you will put. I would not put fee here exactly because that is a related field to fixed fee project. Um, Again, an interesting thing you can see is we got an option to attach a project here. I will create a project here for now. maybe we can create a project and we can avoid it as well, but I would show you what happens when we create a project here and the benefits of it at the quotation time. So it really helps the quotation team to create a beautiful code, and I'll just show you in a couple of seconds what happens if you create a project at this point of time, a high level project, maybe not a detailed plan. So let's say we gave the name of the project awareness CRM implementation project. Then the estimated start date is, let's say, 25th, and the effort maybe, let's say, 1,000 hours or so. And at this point of time, I'm actually having no other information. Calendar template that you see here is also a very beautiful piece of information. Just diverting a little bit away from what we are doing now, quotation calendar template. One beautiful feature that project operations has, calendar template. So let's say you have an organization with four different entities. One is in India, one is in Europe, and then one is in US. So you might have people working in all different geographical locations. Each individual at these locations might also work in different time zones. So each user or an employee can be tagged with its working times that he's working with, the number of hours that he works in a day, and you understand that he is gonna be working at this time from this many number of hours, so this many number of hours based on what the contracted amount can be or the hours that you've negotiated with an employees to work on. So all this is set, and this is beneficial when actually the staffing team is doing the resource allocation of the staffing of the employees. So they understand he is only available to work for 6 hours a day, and then you cannot allocate him beyond 6 hours, 8 hours, something like that. So this is the beauty of how the calendar templates are set. This is also part of configuration that you do before you start using the system or when a new employee is joining your team. Fine. Let's little bit expedite. So maybe when I create the project here, mm, so it's just at this point of time the head of the project is created, and what I will do is I'll just save this quote line. I haven't created the details of what this quote, fixed time and material quote, will still have inside, because I'm waiting to create this project, and I'll show you the beauty what happens when you do this. I'll just duplicate this tab so as to keep this tab here. I don't want to over navigate in this screen so as to make you confused. So we directly go to the project tab first and find our project. Okay, we see our active project then is CRM implementation, and I'll open my tasks grid. Sorry. All right. Let me refresh my authentication with Project Online. This is one of the features that they've added in project operations, that they are not working with the old legacy PSA WBS grid. They have tied up with Project Online stuff right inside, embedded in the iframe of project operations. So you have to do once an authentication and allow your pop-up to be unblocked, and then refresh this. See this. Good things are coming it in your screen as they want it to be. Allow, done, and then you just refresh once. So I think it will re-authenticate once again when we go to the task grid. Yeah, see this pop-up was blocked, and then now it will re-authenticate with Project Online once. Cool. I will just create a high level project plan here. Then we will actually look into the project details, project management module separately. So let's say I have requirement gathering as a task, first task. Sorry. Then I have development, um, project management, UAT, and go live. I'm not trying to create an extensive task list here. You have more columns that you can add as a start date and the finish date and the duration, and one more column as depends on. These are my favorite columns, which I love when we have it on the screen to prepare the project plan. Also effort, yeah, that's also one of the ones that I always require. So let's say if you are doing, I'll just drag it here to make it comfortable. Yeah, so the effort for requirement gathering, let's say, is 40 hours. Development time is going to be, let's say, 300 hours. Project management is 100 hours. UAT can be 200, and go live is, let's say, 200 again. Might be cool. Well, this is not something which is true. We need around 50 days, something like that. For it, I think I need 20 days. 20, 80, cool. And you can put assign it to some of the generic roles. Maybe I'll put some depends on. Let's say it depends on the first task. Say second one, third one, fourth one. Okay. And you see this beautiful feature of assigning it to, at this point of time, I'm not sure who's going to be working, but I think I need, for the requirement gathering, someone with a role of functional consultant. Fine. So you can select a role called as functional consultant. He's a generic resource at this point of time. You see one of the beautiful features that project operations is brought up with, which is not existing in PSA, called as worker type. Is he your exactly an employee or a contract worker? So you can also outsource your work. So at this point of time, I will select an employee, but if you select a contracted worker, you can select from which subcontract that you have created for the subcontractor. You can select here. I will save this. The hours will be picked up from the efforts that we have put in over here. So this is 5 days task. Okay. 40 hours. Cool. Then we have, let's say, another generic resource called as developer. I'll try to be quick here. Project manager. Actually, quotation is the biggest piece in project operations entire module, and if you do that really well, the rest of the stuff is very easy to just drag it away ahead. Okay. Just trying to refresh and see what happened. Okay, just pick up project manager again. Quick. Cool. Can a resource here, let's say I want a functional consultant, and again functional consultant or developer, let's say. Yeah, doesn't matter. So at this point of time, the project plan is set. Now you remember we were at the quotation and we created the project high level project plan so as to understand what is expected by the customer. So these are the tasks that he's expecting us to do. We have the high level number of hours that he needs to be executing for each of the stuff, And now let's create a quote lines. Maybe this will help us build the amount, because at this point of time the quotation amount is 0. Now let's try to build a quote amount. So for that you need to go into the quote line details. Now my quote details can be either created manually by adding this quote line details here one by one, or you can just import from the project estimate. Project estimate are the place where you just created the project and you hit this button, and it'll pick up all the tasks with its efforts, the roles and stuff like that directly inside your quotation, so you don't have to work much. The extended beauty of this is that your project manager, who's going to be assigned to this project, if at all the quote is one, also gets a high level glimpse of what has been agreed between the parties when the project quote or contract was created. So you see, we had added requirement gathering, development, UAT, go live, project management, stuff like that. All the efforts are right here inside, and you see certain prices picked up automatically. Now you must be wondering where this price comes from. They actually come from the price list that we attached in the opportunity. You remember, sales price list. Now, now if I go back and show you that, so there is a project price list that was attached, sales price list. Now, for example, if a sales guy wants to negotiate and say, for this guy, I will reduce the price of the developer by 10% or stuff like that. So you can create a custom pricing for this particular quotation only, and it will not impact your global sales price list. So it is a specific price list that is created for this. You can go inside, go into the role prices, and then edit the rates that you want by clicking on them, and just play around with the rates and say, all right, these are the refreshed rates. Just to save time, I'm just quickly trying to show you all the features and not going in depth there. But yeah, so these are some things that so now we go back into the quote lines and see your quotation is built up with certain price here. Now you can keep on adding new quote lines, maybe because there can be multiple work that you want to do with them. They might need a CRM implementation, they might need a Power BI implementation, they might need XYZ, whatever. And this can be time and material, the other can be an FP, another one can be another time and material. So you can add as many number of lines that you want to add here. You can add as many number of products licenses. Let's say if you are an CSP partners, you can always sell licenses from yourselves, and then you can always add those licenses right here. But I am just putting this to give you a glimpse. Now, when moving ahead at this point of time, let's say you submitted the quotation, you can actually export this to PDF and create nice documentation based on your requirements and your theme. Export it, send it out for signing, and then let's assume in the best case you won this. You click on one. As soon as you click on one, what happens is the quotation is now converted into a contract automatically. So now the contract is created. So all the details, the quote lines and the quote line details are all come in automatically in the contract. So you see you are in the order. Generally the terminology is to call it contract in PO terminology. So everything is populated here, we don't have to worry. Again, if the contract is to be signed officially, you just extract it, send it to them. When the official sign is received, you mark it as confirmed. So the contract at this point of time, I told you, the quotation is the biggest phase. The rest is all going to be very easy. Now at this point of time, we say, all right, the contract is confirmed. So now is the job of project manager. At this point of time, you can write a beautiful cloud flow informing the project manager on the project that you created, that hey, your project is now ready to go ahead because we got a sign off from the customer on the contract. And at this point of time, your project manager gets engaged automatically. So to navigate to the project, there are multiple ways where you can go and see there is related projects here. You can click on that, as well as you can go on the project module and go there. But at this point of time, till the contract, you can say the sales cycle is over. So we have covered the major chunk of what project operations does inside a sales cycle. That is covered. Now let's move to the project management cycle, which is The project manager comes now in place. The role is changed. Now it's all the job of project manager, together with staffing. Okay, so the resource manager also will come in place. So I'll pick up project management come resource management module together. Okay, so the project management manager comes here, he opens the project. Now he goes and sees, all right, these are the tasks that we've got from the quotation department that they have prepared. So he looks at it, and if he wants to edit the details and add some more to it based on looking at the contract details and intricacies, he can always edit it. At this point of time, I don't want to do those kind of stuff here. Now comes parallelly the staffing stuff. In some SMB companies, the project manager itself does the staffing. Well, in some enterprise companies, there is a separate resource management division who takes care of the staffing, and the project manager are not allowed to do staffing. So depending on what the need is, you can see there is a team. When you click on the team, we created tasks and assigned some generic resources. Based on them, there is a team that is set up, and there is a need for these generic resources to be filled up with some hardcore named resources. At this point of time, they are all generic. Now, how do you convert them into the named resources? You can see only one named resources here is Kuldeep Gupta, because that's what the project manager for this project, and he will of course be a named person on this project. So creating this generic resources into the named resources, what we'll do is first click on them all and click on generate requirement. So now we need these requirements of project manager, functional consultants, and developer in the project. So now we have a requirement that is to be fulfilled. So we click on generate requirements, and there will be some requirements that will be generated. Yeah, fine. So you see that there is a requirement of 100 hours for project manager, 240 hours for a functional consultant, and developer is required for 500 hours. Now let's start fulfilling each requirement. There are multiple ways in which you can do it again in PO. Very, very sophisticated way as well. With this resource requirement, I will show you the other way in a bit, but let's say we go a very easy way. In the SMB sector, the project manager is facilitated to do the staffing by himself. So we click on this requirement here, and let's say he's trying to search for a project manager. So he clicks in, say, book. Let's book a resource. So schedule board opens up. This is a universal schedule board. I don't know if you guys have heard about field services. This is also a shared module which is between field service and project operations together. So this is a very beautiful view that you can see. You see there are resources based on some of the filters that automatically got picked up. Is project manager role. There are 3 project managers that are assigned with this role, so it automatically got picked up from the requirement that we had. We picked up the start date and end date between which we wanted these resources, and we wanted it from Promex India. So based on this unit in India, we had 3 project managers. Now you can also right click on them and click view resource card, so you can see the skills. At this point of time, my system is not configured with skills, but you can say Ashutosh has, let's say, XYZ skills and what are the ratings that he has in each of the skills. So you can take a call which one is the best resource that you want. At this point of time, let's say I want to see a day's view, and I want to book Grahita for this particular 100 hours, and I'll select this. 49 hours is getting selected, but let's say we select first 49 hours and then we book 49 for 49 hours. Grahita. Let me just also go back to the week's view, sorry, and see if we can book her for the entire duration. Not Kuldeep, Grahita. Super, 99.8. Okay, so any which ways, she is getting booked for 99.8 hours, as there is an availability of 99.8 hours only for Grahita. Well, there are booking statuses that is called as proposed, soft, and hard. So I will say no, this is the confirmed resource. If you say hard, book and exit. The resource is gonna be booked on that particular project. So now you see 99 of 8 hours are booked. And then if I refresh this grid, let's get outside or just refresh this page for a second, you would see Grahita on this particular project for 99.75 hours that we booked for her. Well, now if we go on the task, the project manager says, I have already a project manager that I needed, and then I can just replace that with the resource that we had hired called as Grahita. So now there is a named resource on the project management. There is another way, which is a very lengthy way. I'll just theoretically tell you how this is done. So now let's say we need a developer. So you can go on the resource requirement, and you can also request in the enterprise world this works. So you can go on the resource requirement, raise a resource request to the resource manager. He will find a requirement for you guys, propose you the staffing, request that this is the member that I've selected for you. You can either accept it or reject it. If you reject it, he will find another one, or tell you no, this is the only one that you can say. So you can submit this request that you want to someone who is a developer who I need from this date to this date and stuff like that. So this is one lengthy way. I would avoid that, looking at the time that we have in hand. Yeah, so this is how we do staffing. Resource assignments, you can see this is just a beautiful view that you've got here in the project map for project managers, for how many resources. uh, at this point of time, you can see only one named. We have not yet converted these into the named resources. So Grahita is assigned from which day to which day, which hours, how many hours, and stuff like that. You can see. Then resource reconciliation view. Again, this is a kind of view which is kind of resource assignment. But the beauty is, if there is a deficit of certain number of hours that project manager is required and not booked, we have just booked for 99.75 hours, but there are some more hours that are needed, so it will show you in minus, and you can actually book right here from the resource reconciliation view with the projected number of hours that it shows you. But I don't love this kind of bookings right from the reconciliation view. I feel I want to go in the schedule board and select my bookings. This is an estimate tab where you can see how many number of hours and sales, with sales by sales price and the cost price. So these are the sales and how much amount of billing can the customer expect every week or by month or by day. Let's say a month is a good view. So in January, he can expect a billing of this much. Yeah. September, October, sorry, not January, September, October, November, he can expect this much amount of billing. Tracking is another tab for the project managers. So they also can see how much amount of effort is consumed on a particular task, what percentage of task is completed and stuff like that. And this is actually derived by the number of hours that the team books on each of the tasks. So as in when they do time entry, the tracking percentages are moved ahead. Not just when they do time entry, but when the time entries are actually approved by the project managers, the efforts are actually moved ahead in certain percentages, and you can see which task is completed and what is the schedule variance and stuff like that. I think at this point of time, we should move from project manager, because this is what basically the project manager does here. In the project management cycle, the resource management cycle is completed. Now we should move ahead and see the time entry module. So in the time entry module, the employees come and can do some time entry. So we'll click on new and select the project that we want to do time entry. So let's say we worked on Rene's project for 8 hours, and I selected the task of development. No, project management. Let me just find my project. Done. Project management. Description is project management. or something like that. You can put your time entry for here. Sorry, and then you can save it, and then you can click on the submit button. So once the time entry is done, you can submit it. So yeah, see, this is a beautiful view. It says you are working on a non-working day. Click OK to continue submission. But yeah, that's fine. I am working today. You know, so I can actually submit my time entry. When this is submitted, it goes for an approval. So on the project, when you click on the approvals tab, the project manager says, all right, we have a time entry that needs to be approved for 8 hours. And the comments were he did project management today. Okay, fine. So now I need to approve this. He'll select this and click on approve. Fine. This is now approved. At this point of time, if you go on the project and see these many number of hours are converted into actuals, but let's say if we see some tracking progress also, I told you that the tracking will move ahead. You see, project management is moved by 5% ahead, that we have some hours that is completed. 8 hours have been tracked here. This is one. And then if you go and see the related actuals, where are the actuals? So there are some actuals that are logged in the system. So there is an unbilled sales for 8 hours that is logged in the system, and that's 2,500 per hour, which is into 20,000 rupees. So this is the cost price. So you can see what is it costing to, and the profit is 20,000 minus 14,000 is 6,000 rupees. That's fine. But now let's say we want to invoice this to the customer. So how do you do that? So you click on this unbilled sales and click on ready to invoice. I'm just now quickly moving from the time entry and expense entry to invoicing. So the what do you call the accounts division comes, goes to the project actuals and say now is my billing cycle. All those billing cycles date, they will filter out from here. All those unbilled sales can be selected and clicked on ready for invoicing. So we have just now one time entry that we wanted to do the invoicing for. We selected this and then we move to the project contract again. Now the reason is all the project related information is tagged to the project contract. So we, for invoicing to trigger, we need to go on the contract. Now we click on just create invoicing. All the lines that are marked as ready for invoicing will be picked up and the invoice will be created automatically from there. All right. So you see an amount of 20,000 rupees has been billed. The contracted line was 1 lakh, whatever, 19 lakh 10,000 rupees. And then you have out of that invoiced 20,000 rupees. If you want to look in the details, you can double click and get into invoice and see what have you invoiced the customer for. So these are the chargeable transactions that the customer has. And then you go back to the invoice, then extract this invoice, attach it to the email and blah blah blah, send it out to the customer. Everything is fetched out based on the customer details. If you had billing information that you had saved for the customer, will also get populated automatically. So in case you have a structured invoice department, the draft invoice is created by a junior or whatever invoicing person, then it is reviewed by someone, and then you can always say okay fine, this is done, and then I senior confirms this invoice, and then when the invoice is sent, you mark it sent, and then your job is finished. So this finishes our invoicing process as well here. So let's recap what we did in just 1 minute. We tried to see the sales cycle. When the opportunity came in, we created the quote, we created the contract, and then we created that was the end of the sales cycle. Then we created the project, then we created the resource staffing, then we created time entry and expense entry, and then based off that we created the invoice. So let's get back to the presentation really soon. This was all I wanted to show you in my demo. And initial major requirements that comes up for project operations is these are mainly where the project management project operations will stand true, where you have portfolio management that you want to do, meaning portfolio is multiple projects that you want to manage under one customer umbrella. So based on, let's say, multiple divisions, customer, energy, manufacturing, and stuff like that. So enterprise customers who have multiple categories of segments of business, those kind of customers, where you have to create service level quotations, where there are a lot of compliances in the process that you need, forecasting of the resources before you actually start working, and where you have a heavy discount handling that is needed. um, Resourcing, we saw resource staffing needs, and risk management and the delivery management is covered, where you have Gantt view and KPIs and reportings that are required. Then you have the time and expense needed. Of course, you can do it from your mobile as well, and an accounting need. So overall, a data quality, secure, trusted data, a rich reporting, and a rich user experience is where all projects operations stands true. uh, Guys, this is the link which you can use to create your trial environments and start get going from there. Use my course to see how you can configure it and start using it. I stop here now, and we are almost to the end of our session. I leave some time for the Q and A's, if there are any. Ritika, I would let the stage open for any questions if there are.
Sure, Kuldeep. Thank you so much for showing some demos here, because that was really good and understanding. I do see one question on the chat, which is, can I update quote to add more roles after the opportunity is accepted?
Yes, you can certainly do that.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Shabaz. Other than that, I don't see any questions on the chat at this point, Kuldeep. But any attendees, if you have questions, please use the chat to post it, or you can reach out to Kuldeep directly, even after the meetup, if you have any questions. And I think you have the social media credential site slide already open. So thank you, Kuldeep.
Welcome, Ritika. Well, I think this is where I want to stop myself, and then thank you, Ritika, for the opportunity again. And guys, do reach out for any of the inquiries, or if you have any questions for project operations, I am open.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Kuldeep. We were excited to have you here, and I think it was worth it. This was a very nice session.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, everybody, that was Kuldeep. The session was about how you can deep dive and start your journey with project automations. In case you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach him out. Now, next up, we have our another session, and it's going to be presented by Dharani. He's going to talk about ALM Accelerator for Power Platform. So, in case you are interested in implementing continuous CI/CD basically for your environments, then you can follow this session. So, with that, I'll hand it over to you, Dharni. Thank you so much for coming here today with us, and addressing this most important topic when it comes to deployments and versioning, etc.
Thank you so much, Ritika. Thanks, Yash and Ritika, for having me here. Let me quickly share my screen.
Okay.
So once you're able to see my screen, please let me know, Ritika.
Yes, I mean it's loading. I can see your screen now. Please go
Okay.
ahead, Dharni.
Yeah, sure. Thank you everyone for joining today. Welcome to Hyderabad Power Platform User Group. Once again, thanks Yash and Ritika for providing me this wonderful opportunity. And today's topic is all about the ALM accelerator for the Power Platform. So before getting into the topic, let me give a small introduction about myself. Myself, Dharani Dharan Balasubramaniam. People call me Dharani. I'm based out of Sydney, and I do work as a principal consultant on Dynamics 365 and Power Platform with Capgemini Australia. I'm a Microsoft MVP in the business applications area, and also I'm leading the Tamil Nadu Malaysia Dynamics 365 and Power Platform group. Also, I'm a part of Asian's Business Applications User Group Leaders. In the session, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, or else you can ask your questions in the chat window. And feel free to connect with me over the LinkedIn or any other social media. I will share my social media handle in the chat window. Please feel free to connect with me. And here is the quick agenda of today's session. In today's session, we'll see what is ALM and what are the key areas of ALM, and we'll see like stages, what are the stages involved in the ALM, and why ALM is so important, and what advantage we will get it if we implement the ALM for our projects. And we'll see like what is in the ALM accelerator for Power Platform, and what all the license requirements needed in order to implement the ALM accelerator for Microsoft Power Platform. And as part of this accelerator, we do have the maker and the administrative experience app. We'll see all those apps in detail, and then we'll get into a system demo. And finally, I will take the question and answers. And as I mentioned, the today's topic is about the ALM accelerator for the Power Platform. Before we go deeper into the tool itself, I need to explain the concept of ALM itself, so you can understand and answer by yourself why it matters in today's condition. And hopefully you can also experiment, apply it, and can giving feedback to us whether it is beneficial or not. The first slide of the session speaks about the ALM definition. The application lifecycle management is the life cycle of application itself. The keywords in here is about the governance, the development, and also the maintenance, which also contains the requirement gathering, software architecture, development, testing, maintenance, change management, support, continuous integration, project management, deployment, release management, governance. These are all comes into mind if you take about this ALM process. These are the key areas, and these are the stages of the ALM process. Now, let me take some minute and speak about what all the key areas in the ALM. Governance, which includes the requirement management, resource management, nurturing, and system administration activities such as data security, user access, change tracking, review, audit, deployment control, rollback, all those things which comes under the governance area. And then we do have the application development, which includes identifying the current problems and planning, design, building, and testing the application and its continuous improvements. And this application development area includes the traditional developer and the app maker roles. And next we do have the maintenance. Maintenance includes the deployment of the app and the maintenance of the option and the dependent technologies. And to make it easier, you can see the in the process diagram. I will show in the next slide. In short, all of this process is part of the application lifecycle management and how we can move it with the better steps. And here you can see these are all the areas of uh, main ALM process. And if you talk about the Power Platform in particular for the ALM, we needs to know about three components, how we can create and once again, yep. And if you talk about the Power Platform in particular for the ALM, we needs to know about the three components mainly, how we can create until hand over the app to the end user. The first one is all about the environments. Environments are the space to store, manage, and share your organization business data, apps, and the business processes. They also serves as a container to separate apps that have different roles, security requirements, or the target audience. And each environment can have only one database. And there are several environment types that the Power Platform the users can use in Power Platform, like a sandbox, production, the development environment, and the default environment. And the sandbox environment is any non-production environment of a dataverse. It's isolated from the production. Sandbox environment is the place to safely develop and test the application changes with low risk. And sandbox environments include capabilities that would be harmful in the production environment, such as reset, delete, and the copy operations. And the production environment, from the name itself, we understood that this is going to be the production environment where we are going to put into the operation for the intended use. And then we do have the development environment, formally called this as a community environment. This Power Apps developer plan gives you access to the Power Apps premium functionality, the Dataverse, and the Power Automate for the individual use. And this plan is primarily meant to build and test with the Power Apps, Power Automate, and Microsoft Dataverse for the learning purpose. A development environment is a single user environment and cannot be used to run or share the production apps. This is purely for our development and for the learning purposes. And then we do have the default environment. A single default environment is automatically created for each tenant, and this instance is shared by all the users in the tenant. If you log into the make.powerapps.com, by default you guys or everyone belongs to the tenant will be able to see the default environment. But however, based on our requirement, the project requirement, we need to come up with our own environment strategy, and we need to create our environments based on our requirements. Because some organization will have the requirement to have only three instances, like a development, test, and the production. But some organization, they might have the requirement to have the golden source environment in order to bring the strong governance, and each and every developers have their own sandbox and test environment. And some customers prefer to have the pre-production environment before the production. They want to look into everything in the pre-production and then the production environment. So each and every customers will have their own the requirements, and based on the own requirements, you need to come up with their own environment strategy before implementing the ALM for the Power Platform. That's all about this environments. And once we decide about that, the next thing is to maintain who should have the access, the security role for each of the environments. So that we need to be very careful. So who should have the access to for each and every environment? For example, the development environments, only the developer should have the access. Similarly, the testing environments, only the people who are going to do the system testing, only those people should have the access to those. And pre-prod and the production, only the business users should be having access to those environments. So we need to be very careful in providing the access to each of these environments. And the next one we have is the solutions. And the solutions are the mechanism to transport the component from one environment to the another environment. Like in the Power Platform development, will be building a lots of component like Canvas app, model driven app, Power Automate, and Power Automate will have some connection references, and we'll be building some custom connectors, and we will be using those custom connectors in our Power Automate and the Power Apps. So each and everything, all those things are the components. If you take the model driven app, forms, fields, security roles, so all those things are components. And you want to carry these components from one environment to another environment. And this, how you can carry, is with the help of the solution. You will be able to promote the components from the one environment to the another environment. See, they have the solutions will include the metadata and the certain entities with the configuration data. And solution, it won't contain any business data. They can contain many different Power Apps components such as model driven app, Canvas app, site maps, flows, entities, forms, custom connectors. So all those things you can include and you can move it. And one thing you need to notice that is all the entities cannot be included in a solution. For example, the application user, the custom API, the organization settings, system tables cannot be added to one solution. They are packaged as an unit to be exported and imported to the another environments. The solutions, how you can move it is like you need to package into an unit, and then you need to export it from one environment and import that solution to the another environment, or destructed and checked into source control as a source code for assets. Solutions are also used to apply changes to the existing solution. And here we do have the two kinds of solutions. One is kind of a managed solution, and the another one is a unmanaged solution. Managed solutions are used to deploy to any environment that is not a development environment for that solution. This includes test, user acceptance testing, system integration testing, and the production environments. Managed solution can be serviced. What I mean as service is upgrade, patch, and delete independently from the other managed solutions in an environment. As an ALM practice, managed solution should be generated by a build server and considered a build artifact. And upgrades or updates to this managed solutions are deployed to the previous version of the managed solution. This does not create an additional solution layer to it. You can delete the components by using an update solution. And patch contains only the changes for a parent managed solution, and you should only use patches when making a small updates like a hot fix. Suddenly if you are going to an production and if you encountered with a small bug, and if it is a high level priority and if you want to release a hot fix for it, then in this case you can go for a patch solution, and you require it to be possibly be uninstalled. When the patches are imported, they are layered on top of the parent solution. You cannot delete components by using a patch. And upgrade a solution installs a new solution layer immediately above the base layer and any existing patches. Applying solution upgrade involves deleting all the existing patches and the base layer, and the solution upgrades will delete the components that existed but are no longer included in this upgraded version. And these are all the main things we need to consider or we need to know on the solutions. And next we do have the source control, and source control is one of the main thing if you want to implement the ALM accelerator for the Power Platform. Source control, it's also known as a version control, is a system that maintains and secures, stores software development assets and track changes to those assets. Change tracking is especially important when multiple app makers and the developers are working on the same set of files. A source control system also give you the ability to roll back the changes or restore the deleted files. A source control system helps the organization achieves healthy ALM because the assets maintained in the source control are the single source of truth. If you ask in other words, the single point of access and modification for your solution. For the Power Platform projects, you can use either GitHub or Azure DevOps for the source control. So where it is using a Git in the backend. When talking about the source control, we also need to implement the branching and the merging strategy. But we can talk more about this if any of you have any questions regarding this, regarding the branching and the merging strategy, because I'm not going to cover the branching and merging strategy in detail. But in short, we have the environments to work and deploy solution is being used to package all the changes so we can back up and deploy to another environment, while source control is our repository and also can be used to create the automation when we want deploying the changes through the CI/CD process. Now we want to take about, now we'll quickly go back to the previous slide and we'll talk about the stages of the ALM. And here you can see like these are the main stages which is involved in the ALM process. The first and foremost is the requirement management. We need to document, analyze, track, prioritize, and agree on the requirements. This is kind of more on the discovery and the analysis phase. will set with the business and will having the lots and lots of workshops with the business to understand the existing solution and what all the existing implementation they have done, and what is the business process looks like, and how we can transform their business transformation process into our Power Platform instance. So all those things will be doing it into the requirement management and the discovery phase. And the design management is a process that helps to enhance the customer satisfaction and loyalty by improving the usability. And the discovery management also provides interaction among the customer and the product. And next we do have the build management phase, and this is also known as an implementation phase or the code management. It is the process of converting the source code files into a standalone software component. In this stage, application idea transforms into an actual application. So that is, this build management is the main phase actually. If you ask me, like, it's an implementation phase. What all the things which we have done as a part of a requirement management and the design, we are going to convert all those into an actual software in this phase. And during this stage, the actual application is built, tested and deployed, and the testers begin preparing their test cases and write a test script for the testing phase. And next we do have the software configuration management. It's another ALM stage where the development team systematically organizes, manages and controls the changes in the documents, codes and other entities during the application development lifecycle process. And next we do have this operations and the maintenance. And in this ALM phase, the process of monitoring, the management, and the development of the applications will begin. In DevOps, this ALM phase, it covers the release, config, and the monitor. And in the stage, you find and resolve the bugs. This phase helps you to plan and prioritize the next updates to the product. And next we do have the test management. And in this phase, the testers need to verify that the application is complying with the requirements are defined in the initial step of the process, where the testers will be testing the complete application with the data or the requirements which is available in the user story. And they also need to ensure that even if this is not properly defined in the requirement phase, the application will meet the user expectations and all the stakeholders that will require to support it throughout this life cycle. And next we do have the last phase, the maintenance or the user experience phase. It is traditionally the longest stage in the ALM process. Still, it is also the one where the participation of the testing and the development team is usually the lowest. After the application is developed, the role of the user that comes to play. They check the entire application and they share their experience. Based on their feedback, the final application will be delivered. And for the summary, why this ALM is so important, now we have seen like what all the governance and what all the key areas of ALM and what is mainly required for implementing the ALM process. Now we'll take a one step and see like why this ALM is so important. The first one is regarding the good visibility. When you're applying a changes and being tracked in the source control, everyone can verify who do the changes and is it makes sense to change in that component. All those good visibility will be getting it by implementing the ALM process. And the next one is about the communication with the feature on the Azure DevOps. For example, we can create a work item, tag a people that we need, and everything which makes the communication gets better. So all those things are easily with the Azure DevOps. You will be able to communicate collaboratively between the development team, testing team, the managers. All those easy collaboration will be available with the help of this ALM tool. And next one is easy to track. Once everything we push to GitHub, then we can know the history of all the changes and the cost effective. The purpose of the ALM was how to make everything automated. So of course, once the automation was already being set up, and it will be very easier and also very cost effective. Again and again, we no need to put the resources for it, and we no need to do everything manually in the system. So all those things are very easy, and you can test it frequently. And if the ALM process is there in the place in your automation build pipeline, so you can configure your the regression test suitcases. So once everything is deployed to a new environment, then you can automatically trigger this regression test cases, and you can test this adequately, and whenever you want you can test it, and there is no need of putting a manual testers over there and testing all this piece. And if you hook everything is under the ALM, so then that would be really easy, and easy to maintain also. So all those things, all those capabilities and all those advantages will be getting out of it if you implement the ALM. And these are some of the advantages we will be getting it. So ALM helps you to control the system by organizing and the tracking, and you can also share the defects across the projects, and you can reduce the risk by helping it. And ALM offers integration with multiple testing tools, so you can integrate the multiple testing tools with Azure DevOps, and you can perform your testing. And it helps to get the clear direction for an app before and during the builds. And without ALM, it is very hard for a software development team to produce a software at the speed and agility needed to stay competitive. And ALM efficiently delivers the software with the maximum tax on the team. So these are some of the advantages we would be getting out of the ALM process. Now let's see like what is in the ALM accelerator for the Power Platform. As I mentioned in the previous slides, if you want to implement the ALM accelerator for the Microsoft Power Platform, there are key things which we need to know. I have explained the previously, like the environments, solution, and the source control. So those are some of the key things which we would be aware of it, which we needed in order to implement the ALM accelerator for the Power Platform. And if you ask me what all the things inside this ALM accelerator for Power Platform, Microsoft, what all the features they have given inside this ALM accelerator, and the first and foremost thing for the makers, and the makers and the maker team can use the ALM accelerator for Power Platform to implement the source control and deploy solutions in the Microsoft Power Platform. And with the ALM accelerator for Power Platform, makers can perform source control, they can enable the version history, and they can deploy the solutions in the Power Platform. And this accelerator is a combination of Azure pipelines and the app. That's what make up the full accelerator for the Microsoft Power Platform. This accelerator, it is a combination of the YAML pipelines and the Canvas app and the model driven app. This all these three things together makes this ALM accelerator for the Power Platform. While an advanced knowledge of ALM is not required in order to use this accelerator, it is important that the maker should understand how to use the solutions in the Microsoft Power Platform. To use the ALM accelerator for the Power Platform, all your components like Power Apps, then flows, customization, the connection references, and custom connectors, all these components should be part of a solution. And I have explained about the solutions in the previous slide, and also like at the in the chat window I will provide the links to learn more about the solutions, and you can go through that and you can learn more on the solutions area. And the target users for this accelerator is like two main makers. One is like a new makers, and the another one is like advanced makers. The new makers who are unfamiliar with the ALM concept, but they want to be able to save their work along with the history of changes and share those changes with the other users. And also the makers who are comfortable with the advanced concepts of using git, such as pull request, branching, merging, and they will be more familiar with the source control and the deployment automation. So this ALM accelerator helps both the new makers and also the advanced makers. How it is helping is in the model driven app, If you go to the user settings, there we have the capability to allow the feature. If you consider, if you want to onboard a new user into this ALM accelerator, then the administrator should decide whether he is a new maker or an advanced maker. If it is a new maker, and he can allow only the limited functionality in the Canvas app, and if he is an advanced maker, and if he knows all the advanced concept of using a gate, and he knows how to create the pull request and how this branching and merging works, if he is more familiar with the source control and the deployment automation, and he can consider that resource as an advanced resource, and he can allow all the features in the model driven app settings. We do have the model driven app, where the administrator will configure all the user settings over there. Based on the user configuration, whatever he is doing in the model driven app, based on that, then it will get displayed into the Canvas app. Whenever the maker login into the Canvas app, then based on that, it will display the feature there. In the system demo, I will show you like how those configuration has been done in this accelerator. And as I mentioned, the target user for setting up this ALM accelerator is an administrator, and they will be having a deep understanding of Power Platform environment solutions, and how the Azure pipelines and the YAML pipeline works, and the familiarity with the Azure AD, and also the Microsoft Dataverse administration. So they should be aware of, they should have a good knowledge on all these areas in order to become an administrator in the ALM accelerator. And next, we do have the visual representation of how this ALM accelerator for the Power Platform works. And in the left hand side, you can see here the maker or the maker team. And here is the ALM accelerator for the Power Platform. On the right hand side, we do have this ALM downstream, the individual environments. And will come from the left hand side. The maker or the maker team, they work in an isolation in the personal development environments, and each and every developer will have their own development environments, and they will be working on their own development environments. And once the development is done, their interaction with the ALM process is via the ALM accelerator Canvas app. And they will come to the Canvas app, and they will say like, this is the solution done, it's ready, I need to pick the solution, and I need to commit it into a source control. All this interaction they will do via this Canvas app. Nothing would be manual here. Only they need to go to the Canvas app, and they need to interact with this the Canvas app by saying this is the solution. That is the only process which is manual over here. You can see the purple color in this diagram represents the manual interaction, and all the green color represents the automation. And this is the manual interaction in the whole process. They will go to the Canvas app, and they will define which solution they want to commit and deploy to the ALM downstream individual environments. So once it is defined over here, the makers, as I mentioned, the makers use the ALM accelerator Canvas app for their ALM tasks, such as import a solution from the source control, export the changes to the source control, and create the pull request to merge changes. All those things, all the communication will happen only via the Canvas app, which is available for the makers. And the ALM accelerator templates for the Azure DevOps pipelines facilitates this automation of ALM task based on the maker's interaction with the ALM accelerator Canvas app. Whatever the interaction the maker is communicating to the this Canvas app, based on this, the template, whatever the Microsoft, the predefined templates which is there as part of the ALM accelerator, will facilitate the complete automation of this ALM process. And the ALM process is there in the place, and we do have the build pipeline for this that will take care of everything. And next, this will communicate with the Azure DevOps, and all the packing, unpacking, committing those solutions here, and building those into unpacked managed files and unmanaged files. All those process will happen in this Azure DevOps. And once everything is done, then all the changes would get promoted to the this individual environments. And in the Canvas app or in the model driven app, the administrator will have the capability to define which is the dev environment and which is the test environment and which is the production environment. All those things, all the configuration will be doing it. Either you can do it from your Canvas app or you can do it from the administration app. This ALM accelerator includes the pipeline templates to support a three-stage development to production environment. Currently, the out-of-box accelerator, which comes, it supports only the three-stage deployment to the production, but this templates can be customized to fit specific needs and scenarios. As I mentioned in the previous steps, while speaking about the environments, some organization will have the requirement to have the three environments, some organization will have some requirement to have four or five environments. So all those things can be customized in this ALM accelerator. But the out of box way, it supports three, but however the way you want, you can customize it. And this ALM Accelerator sits on top of the Azure DevOps to provide a specified interface for the makers to regularly commit and create the pull request for their development work, whatever they are doing it in the Power Platform environments. And the combination of this Azure DevOps pipelines, the Canvas app, and the model driven app will make up the full ALM accelerator for the Power Platform solution. And the pipelines and the app or the reference implementation, they were developed for use by the development team for the COE starter kit internally. But at one point of time, Microsoft thought like we can open source and release in order to demonstrate how the healthy ALM can be achieved in the Power Platform. That's how this ALM accelerator has been evolved. They can be used as it is, or you can customize it as part of your, as however you have your own requirement. As part of your requirement, you can customize and you can use this ALM accelerator for the Power Platform in order to achieve the complete CI/CD process. And these are all the license requirements which we need. And ALM accelerator for Power Platform uses the following premium connectors features. One is the Dataverse, and the other one is custom connector. In the ALM accelerator, they have built some custom connector. And if you want to use the custom connector, then that is a premium Power Platform feature. And then you want to use the HTTP with the Azure AD connector. This is in order to establish an Azure AD authentication. So we need that HTTP with Azure AD connector also. And these are all the three main premium features which we need it in order to implement the ALM accelerator for the Power Platform. And next, we do, if the makers want to use the ALM accelerator, they need the following licenses. The one is mainly the Power Apps per user plan or per app license, and this is main thing is required in order to use this ALM accelerator. And the next one is the Azure DevOps basic plan. Since the developers, whomever is going to work on the Power Platform projects, they need to commit the solutions. They need to unpack and commit the source code into the Git repository. So they need this Azure DevOps basic plan. But having this two basic licenses, then only the makers will be able to leverage the features which is available in the ALM accelerator for the Power Platform. Next, we'll see about the pipelines which is there in the ALM accelerator for Power Platform. And what are the pipelines which is available in this accelerator? Sorry, or a set of YAML pipelines intended to be used with Azure DevOps. These reference pipelines were written to demonstrate an end-to-end ALM process for the Microsoft Power Platform solutions. And these pipelines use task, okay, and this task are provided by Microsoft, and some third-party task also used. And Microsoft has written some low-level PowerShell script in order to automate all of the ALM scenarios. Similarly, as I mentioned in the previous slide, if you want to customize your pipelines, which is available in the ALM accelerator, what you can do is like you can build a task and you can hook the task inside this pipeline. And also, if you want to write your own PowerShell script, and you can hook that PowerShell script inside this pipeline. For example, if you want to have the static code analysis as a part of this build pipelines, then you can create a PowerShell script in order to adapt the static code analysis such as style cop, fx cop, js lint, because each and every organization will have their own coding standards and they will have their own governance. So if you want to implement any static code analysis, you can build your own task or you can have your PowerShell script, and you can hook the PowerShell script inside this the pipelines. Then that would ease your task actually. And this pipeline support the ability to deploy to main environments, but currently they demonstrate in the ALM accelerator. If you take it basically takes an production to the three environments, like a deployment from a development to one build validation to a test and to production environment. This is how they have configured it. But as I mentioned, if you want to customize it, if you want to add more environments as per your requirements, you can do it. And these are all the some of the things this pipelines will be doing it. One is like importing a solution, delete a solution, commit a solution, deploy a solution, and deploy the solution to the another environment. And these are all the capabilities which is available in this pipelines. In the import solution, you can select an existing solution from the source control and import a build of that solution from the source control. And in the delete solution, you can export an unmanaged solution from the development environment as a managed, and then you can import the managed solution to the development environment, and then you can delete the delete the managed solution from the development environment. And commit a solution, there is a one feature which is available here. What basically the two is like, it will create a new branch based on the existing branch, and it will export an unmanaged solution from the development environment, and it will unpack the solution to an human readable format, and it will store the unpacked files into one Git repository branch. And all those things you need to configure it in the profile. Yeah, in the upcoming slides I will show you the demo how you need to create a profile. You need to define there which Git repository, which folder you need to commit, all those things you need to define it. Based on that, this pipeline will pick the solution and unpack it, and into the unpacked files it will push it into that particular folder wherever you are referring it. And if it is there in this canvas app, it has a feature to deploy a solution. And if you click a button, the deploy a solution, then basically what it do is like, it will create a pull request in the Azure DevOps for your branch, and it will run the build on the pull request via the branch policy to validate your changes, including the solution checker. And the solution checker plays a vital role in the Power Platform projects. Once the user or the developer completes the activity in the Power Platform, completes his development activity, it's mandatory to run the solution checker, and he need to check whether any vulnerability he is introducing into the system, and he need to make sure it. And in order to bring the governance, we can include the solution checker governance in our pipelines. And as part of that, Microsoft has introduced the solution checker, and they are leveraging that solution checker in the pipelines. And as I mentioned earlier, on top of the solution checker, if you want to include your solution static code analysis, and you can include that also in order to bring the strong governance into your project. And the next thing is like, deploy the solution to an environment. You can create a trigger for when your solution is deployed to another environment, and you can build and manage the solution and deploy that solution based on the trigger. And you can handle the upgrading or updating the solution based on the changes in the solution. And you can handle the setup of the solution in the target environment, like deploying the configuration data. And there is a button in the canvas app and the configure deployment settings, and if you click on that button over there, it will give you the capability to deploy the configuration data, update the connection preferences, update the environment variables, and you can share the apps with the multiple teams, Azure AD groups, and you can activate all the flows from there. And you can create a teams in the Dataverse for the Azure AD groups, and you can update the solution component ownership. All those things would be done easily with that canvas app, and you no need to go into the environment and see. After the deployment, we'll have some poster deployment guide, and we'll be using that poster deployment guide in the Dynamics 365 CE projects, and we'll be doing all those things manually. But by having this accelerator in place, all those things would be done in a one place. You no need to switch between the multiple places. That is also one of the advantage which we will get out of this ALM accelerator. And this ALM accelerator is a combination of three things. One is a canvas app, and the other one is a model driven app, and the pipelines. First, we have seen about the pipeline. Now we'll see what is there in this canvas app. The canvas app included with this ALM accelerator provides a convenience layer on top of the accelerator pipelines. This canvas app allows the Microsoft Power Platform makers to easily invoke the Azure pipelines to perform their complex tasks without switching between the Power Platform environments and the Azure DevOps. This app maker, this the whatever the canvas app which the Microsoft has built it for the makers, it's just an interaction layer, the interactive layer, in order to trigger the pipelines from the Azure DevOps. And the goal of this app is to provide the makers with free way of performing the common development and ALM task. That is their main goal of the this canvas app. With this canvas app, it targets the multiple persona, the new maker, advanced maker, and team maker. All the multiple personas can log into this canvas app. And how we are going to restrict the accesses based on the administration tool. There is a user settings over there. If it is a new maker, we'll give them only the few less privilege. If it is an advanced maker, we'll give them the more privilege. All those things, all the controls will be taken care in the model driven app. And also it targets the multiple organization projects and repos in the Azure code, Azure DevOps. And you can get the latest version of the solution into the development environment by importing the solution. And also we can remove the existing work that needs to be rebased from the source control by deleting a solution. Push the latest changes from the development environment to the source control by committing your solution. There is a commit solution feature. If you click that, then what all the activities the developer has completed, it will pick those latest changes from the development environment, and it will unpack it, and it will push it to the source control. And you can submit the changes right to a work item for a review by creating a pull request. And once the commit a solution is done, then we'll be triggering the deploy a solution. When you deploy a solution, then automatically it will submit the changes and tie to a work for a review by creating a pull request. It will create a pull request, and it will identify the reviewers which who is available in the team. Like for example, in my organization, generally before deploying a solution to an higher environments, we will create a pull request and will assign it to a solution architects or the code reviewers. Basically they will validate the components which is part of the deploy, the which is part of that work item, and they will review, and if they are not satisfied, then they will reject that pull request. And if all good to deploy this component, then they will accept that pull request. On click of the complete, the pipeline will trigger automatically, and it will pick the solution from the source control artifactory, and it will deploy the solution to the target downstream environments. And you can monitor the progress of moving changes between the environments. And in the canvas app, there is a section called request history, and if you go there, over there you will be able to see all the progress of moving changes between all the environments. All those capabilities are, all those features are available in this canvas app. Next we'll quickly look into the model driven app, and then we'll get into the system demo. And we do have the model driven app. This is mainly for the administrators. So here in this model driven app, basically three features are there. One is the user settings. So as I mentioned, this canvas app can be used by the new maker and the advanced maker. how we are going to, where we are going to define this new maker and the advanced maker is in the model driven app. The model driven app will create the user settings, and here will give them the will select the flexibility. This flexibility it is required for this maker, and what all the features required for this maker will be defining it in the user settings, and will create a profile. You can either create it from the model driven app or from the canvas app. Basically this profile would be created from the canvas app. For example, myself Dharanidharan, I will be having an user settings, and if I log in into the canvas app, there I will have the capability to create a new profile. And if I click on a create a profile, there I can create, select my repository and what are all my instances. I will define everything over there. All those settings will be held in this profile, and this profile will get associated to the user settings in the model driven app. And next we do have the deployment request. What all the request which the maker is creating from the canvas app, all those details will be available in this deployment request. Yeah, in detail we'll see in the system demo. Let me quickly share my screen. I'm sharing my browser. Once you are able to see my browser, then let me know.
Yes, Dhani, we can see your browser window and it's all good.
Yeah, thanks, Ritika.
Okay.
And yeah, so this accelerator, I'm not going to cover like how we are going to implement, how we are going to set up the accelerator. That is a too lengthy process. I will I will share the how we can set up the ALM accelerator in detail. That's a too many steps will be there for setting up. There is a one good PDF document which is available. I will share that in the chat window. You can refer that and you can set up your ALM accelerator in your Power Platform. Here I have set up this ALM accelerator in this environment, and here I have the multiple environments like ALM prod, ALM dev and ALM test. As I mentioned, this is the default environment. Each and every tenant will have this default environment, and we should not use this default environment. Based on our requirements, we need to create our own environments, and we need to control access in our environments. And here in the ALM prod environment, we have configured all our ALM accelerator. We have basically imported the ALM accelerator solution here. So that's the reason we are able to see all this model driven app and canvas app. And first let me start with the canvas app. So this is the canvas app which I was speaking till now. And if you click on that, the canvas app, and this is the home page which gets loaded here. And if you are having a multiple user settings, then here you will get a drop down here. So here there is, you can see one is for myself and the other one is for my friend Temi. So you can see the two user settings here. You can switch between the two user settings, and each user settings will have the different configuration, and all this configuration will be done in the deployment user settings here. So here you can see. And as I mentioned in the previous slides, like here for the new makers and for the advanced makers, will have the capability here. Here you need to define the user function, whether it is allowed or not allowed. If you are not allowing this for this user, then this particular user, if you log in into the canvas app, then he won't get that capability in the canvas app. And if you are allowing this for this user, then you can consider this user as an advanced user, and he would be well versed with the Azure DevOps, Git, source control, and all the complete automation process. And if he is a completely new maker, and if he is a new to Power Platform, but he just wanted to save the work and he wanted to share the work with the other team members, then you don't allow all those things, and only the commit, deploy, only those are four features by default, it will, they will get it by default. with that they'll be able to know it, but just they need to have the fair understanding of how the solutions works in the Power Platform. And based on this, this complete the page will get vary. And here these are all the solution which is available in my maker environment. Here you need to select your maker environment. I have selected the ALM dev as my maker environment. And if you go to the solutions, and if I go to the ALM dev, here these are all the three solutions which is available in the system. You can see here these are the three custom solutions which is available here. One is the ASEAN Summit, and the other one is ASEAN's BISAP Summit and the ALM POC. And these three solutions, it will get displayed here. You can see here. And the reason why this ALM POC is I'm not able to select, the main reason is if you go to the user settings and if you go to the running there, here you can see the deployment profile. Only the demo solution deployment profile is associated with my name. So that's the reason I'm able to access only the profile which is there for me. And what is this profile is all about? Here you will be defining the organization and what project you are going to work on and which is your repository. And here you will be defining your development and deployment environments, which is going to be your maker environment and which is going to be your test solution test environment, and which is going to be your production environment. All this, the environments, the selection, it would be done here. All those details will be held in the solution profile. You can create your own solution profile. You can provide your name, you can select the organization if you have the multiple Azure DevOps, and that would be listed here. And you can select your solution, the organization. Here mine is associated with this DevOps Temi AA44 for per platform. So that is the reason it is listing only the this organization. If you have multiple, and you can have it multiple here, and the projects it would be listed here. And here I have only one project in this repository, so that's the reason it is listing only one project over there. And here we have the repository, but inside this project we have multiple repositories. You can go to the repos and see the multiple repositories are there. So that's the reason it is listing the multiple repositories over here. You can select your repository and you can configure in a profile. And also you can configure your deployment environments, which should be a dev, test, and the production environments. All those settings you can configure it. And if you consider this maker is a new maker, then you can do all this configuration from here itself. You can create all the configuration from here, and you can associate this deployment profile with the maker. All this activity admin can do it from uh, the the model driven app which is available as part of the ALM accelerator. And here, yeah, and these are all the few of the build pipelines which is available. You can see the committer solution pipeline is there. And once as a developer, if I complete my activity, the only one interaction, the manual interaction which I need to do is I just need to come here, and if I click commit solution, here you need to update the notes, the latest changes, pushing it to source repo. Then if you click on the committer solution, then automatically this build pipeline will get triggered automatically. So if you refresh this one, then you will be able to see this got triggered. Then if you come to the pipeline, you will be able to see here this got triggered. Let this trigger. In the meanwhile, I will explain the pipelines which is available here. And you can, I will take one of the existing ones. Here we can see this one got succeeded recently, and you can see these are all the some of the Microsoft task, third party task, and they have also included the PowerShell script in order to run this pipeline. And here these are the tasks which is available, so you can see in detail here. You can see here the checkout pipeline branch, check out the source code, and setting the service connection. So they have defined all the tasks in the pipeline. Then if you click on the committer solution from the Canvas app, then automatically this pipeline will trigger and it will execute all the tasks. like publishing the customization changes in the dev environment, and then uh, exporting the managed unmanaged solution, then unpacking that unmanaged and managed solutions, and pushing those unpacked files into one source repository. All those things, this basically this pipeline is taking care of it. From the name itself we can identify the export the solution to the Git. So the Microsoft has built this pipeline and they have given it to us as part of this ALM accelerator. We can use this one, and if you want to customize it as per your requirements, you can customize it. And I will share the complete the Git repository URL, so you can refer to that Git repository. Over there all the pipeline details, everything will be there. Even I have also stored those pipeline details here. Let me go there. It will be there, the PP platform. So here you can see here the pipelines. So you can see all the YAML files here. So this will have all the YAML pipeline code in order to achieve this the complete CI/CD process. So all those things in detail they have mentioned on the GitHub URL. I will share that GitHub URL in the chat window. So you can refer this one, and if you have any doubts, then please feel free to get in touch with me. And you can see here, so till this will take some time to get complete. So I will take the existing one, and so here is the existing. Here you can see it is executing. Half it has completed, still a lot more task it needs to execute it. And this is how, so once this pipeline gets completed, and this is how it would be. So I will go to the demo solution, and I will go to my repository, and here you will see all the unpacked files here in the solution package. If you expand this one, and you will be able to see all the unpackaged files here. By clicking on this committer solution, it will pick the solution, unpack it, and it will push the unpacked files to the source code repos. And once this committer solution gets succeeded, and if the developer want to deploy the solution into the environments, and since this is taking time, so I will just deploy the other solution. So here you need to give the title for this deployment. I will give this as a sprint 2, and here you need to mention like what all the changes which is going to be part of this. I am just mentioning as a latest changes. And here if you click on deploy a solution, then the deploy solution, this pipeline will get triggered automatically from here. If you go to the pipelines, you'll be able to see one pull request which would get created for this. So you can see here, so this is the one which we have created, correct, the sprint 2. So it will get automatically assigned to the reviewer. Consider myself as a reviewer here. I just approved this pull request, and yeah, once if I approve this, then all good. Now if I come back to the pipeline, then this pipeline will trigger, and it will deploy the latest changes to the there is some warning. It got failed with some reason, so we'll look into the existing pipelines. And here this is the one which got the promoted today morning. Here you can see in the deploy solution, here this is deploying the solution 2 to the test environment. And here we have the sum of the steps actually, like here it will have the service connection URL, and all the service connection URL, the details will be maintained into the, you can maintain this into, you can create an environment and you can maintain all the variables over here. And so all those details you can keep it over there, like having your client id, client secret. You can keep it here, but in some projects, in order to maintain a strong governance, they will keep all those things into one key vault in the Azure. They will store those as a secrets in an Azure key vault, and they will read those secrets from the key vault into the build pipelines, and they will use the value in order to establish the connection. So here this service connection URL, and they are checking out the pipeline. And if you want to use the Microsoft Power Platform build tools, the first and foremost thing is like you need to install the Power Platform build tools. And there are certain some of the steps like setting the source repo name and updating the solution XML with the build number, and flatten the JSON files, and you will get the unpacked version name, and will pack the MS app files, all the Canvas app files, all those things, each and everything they have given us a step here. And they have also included the solution checker also here, and each and everything will get done, and they will import this solution into the target environment. So if you come back to the Canvas app, here you will be able to refresh and see. Here if you go to this, here you can see the request history. Like I have raised a couple of requests, you can see it over here. Here I have deployed the solution, the ASEAN Summit solution, and this has been requested by system, and this the destination environment is production, and this is the demo solution which has been moved from validation dev environment to test, and from the tester to the production environment. Similarly, like I have picked this ASEAN Summit solution, and I have promoted to the test environment on so and so time, and this is the one which got triggered now. And due to some issue, it got stuck actually. But yeah, this is how it works. And yeah, as I mentioned, here you will be able to see all the deployment history, and the same all this deployment history will be seen from here also. The administrator will be able to manage all the deployment requests from here. Here you can see we have a separate table for this in order to hold this deployment request. Here it will have the solution name, the request type, and which deployment profile it is using, and what is the associated build number with the Azure DevOps, and which is the source, and which is the target environment, and who has created this, and when this has been created. All this deployment request would be hold in this deployment request entity. The administrator will have access to three main entities. One is the user settings, and the other one is the deployment profile, and the third one is the deployment request. And this user settings and the deployment profile, as I mentioned earlier, and this is in order to differentiate whether the maker is going to be a new maker or an advanced maker, and whether he needs this feature, or if he is not needed that feature, and all those things would be controlled by the administrator using the deployment user settings. And the Canvas app, and this is mainly for the makers. They can commit a solution, deploy a solution, all those things they can do it. Even they can delete a solution, but this is a destructive action. And this is only mainly for the managed solution. If it's an unmanaged solution, even though if they are deleting, there is of no use, still that component will go and sit into the default solution. We cannot separate it out. But if it is an unmanaged solution, there is a possibility that we will lose all the changes which has been made. And if there are dependent solution, then that will fail automatically, because the dependent solution should get deleted first, and then we need to delete the solution. But this is a destructive action. The people should be very careful while using this feature. And here there is a one toggle bar, and if you click on that, it will list only the your solution. And if you turn off this toggle bar, then it will show all the solutions which is available in the all the custom solutions which is available in your Power Platform environment. And even it has some of the capability like manage solution and the import solution. And if you click on manage solution, it will take you to the Power Platform. And if you click on this import solution, it will ask you to select a profile, and what is the source and what is the source folder and what configuration it should, which environment it need to deploy the solution, all those things. If you want to promote one developer change to any of the one environment, then using this import solution capability, you will be able to sync all the environments. So that is also one of the capability which is available in this ALM accelerator. And this is all about my system demo. Now let me quickly summarize what we have seen in this ALM accelerator and the ALM process. ALM process is a process of specification, design, development, and testing of a software application. And we have seen three main areas of ALM: governance, application development, and application management. And we have seen like why the ALM is so important. And as part of it, if you are using an ALM, then you would have a good visibility into an project status, and we'll see like what all the stages which is available in the ALM: requirement management, design, coding, SCM, build management, test management, user experiences. These are all the main key important stages as part of the ALM process. And this ALM helps you to control the system by organizing and tracking. And ALM is so useful for the Power Platform developers, project managers, and all the entries of the system management process. And also we have seen in detail what is there in the ALM accelerator for Power Platform: the Canvas app, the model driven app, and the YAML pipelines. And we have seen like how the pipeline works, all those things in detail. So this is the quick summary of it. And if you have any questions, then to take it up.
Wow, Dhani, that was so informative. I mean, I really enjoyed your session. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ritika.
I do see one question on the chat, which is how is cost or licenses managed for setting up ALM?
Yeah, I have mentioned, I have shown some of the premium features. If you have that premium features in place, then you will be able to set up the ALM accelerator. So that all the cost part which is involved in order to set up the ALM process. If you go back to the previous slide in the license requirements, and these are all some of the licenses which we need in order to set up the ALM process. Let me go back to the license requirement page. Yeah, here you can see the these are the premium Power Platform features. One is the Dataverse you need, and the other one is custom connector you need. So if you are purchasing the Dataverse and if you have that this plan, then it's all good. Apart from that, you won't be spending any amount in order to set up the ALM accelerator. And also for the makers, in order to use the Canvas app, they need to have these two things. One is either they need to go have the Power Apps per user or per app license plan, or else they need to, and also they need to have the Azure DevOps basic plan. So these are the license requirements we needed in order to implement the ALM accelerator.
I hope that answers your question, Shahbaz. And thank you so much, Dhani, for going back on the slide and explaining it again.
Yeah, thanks,
Um,
Ratika.
Mhm. Other than that, I don't see any questions on the chat. But guys, if you have any questions related to ALM implementation or if you need any information, please do not hesitate to reach out to Dhani. I have shared his social media credentials on the chat as well, and they are visible on the screen here. So you can scan the QR code or find the links in the chat, whatever works for you, and you can reach out to him. And with that, Dhoni, I think we can close this session. And thank you so much for joining us today. And I mean, I think it was a very great session when it comes to understanding all the various aspects of ALM, because now I think it's one of the important aspects for
Yeah.
any Power Platform project. So thank you so much for this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ritika, for having me today here. Thanks for providing me this wonderful opportunity, and thanks everyone for joining today.
Okay. Yep. Thank you, Dhani. So with that, I think we are done for today. We'll meet again next month with another set of sessions related to Power Platform. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. And other than that, if you are interested in sharing some information with the community members over the next months, you can either reach out to me or Yash, and we can help you find a slot in the coming meetup sessions, so you get also a chance to interact with the community. With that, thank you so much for joining. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk next month. Thank you all. Bye bye.